Good morning. Welcome. That was quite an introduction. Wasn't expecting that at all. But anyway, thanks for taking out the time. I'm here to talk to you about, very excited to talk to you about the future of omnichannel retail and in emerging economies, especially for two reasons. One, this is the time of disruption, digital disruption in retail like never before, and the industry is transforming tremendously, as well as emerging economies have this unique blend of demographics and macroeconomics that's really changing the pattern of retail as compared to the established world like North America. So without further ado, let's jump right into the agenda. We're going to talk about the key macro trends in retail industry, what's happening, what's the latest, how the industry is evolving. We're then going to talk about the fundamental omnichannel enablers. So I wanted to make this a little more operational for you to be able to walk out of this session understanding some of the basic fundamentals of retail and how the underlying framework works and what truly omnichannel really means. Latin American market landscape. So I spent a couple of years down in Chile, South America, specifically Santiago, helping a retailer in their omnichannel journey. So I'll bring about some market landscape details with respect to the South American countries, and then I'm gonna leave it up to you, for the most part, to draw parallels across that geography and South Africa, but I'm gonna point out some points as well, just to validate. Then we're gonna very quickly walk through some insights that we gathered through a millennials survey, specifically in South Africa, and what did we find from that with respect to the shopper's behavior. And then we're going to try and crack the omnichannel code with a real-life case study, like I said, with the experience I gained in South Africa and the journey that we are taking the retailer through. And then finally, I want to make sure you walk away out of this session with a takeaway. So just going to lay out a view of 2019 and beyond, what to expect, how the industry is going to evolve, and what are going to be some of the key drivers. So we've talked enough about myself, so I'm going to skip this slide and get into the key macro trends in retail industry. So a little bit of a US perspective, just a disclaimer ahead of time on this first slide. Tough times for retailers. It's not a real rosy story at all. You've got Sears, JCPenney, Macy's, Lowe's, some of the traditional retailers across departmental stores, home improvements are missing targets. They are cutting workforce. They're closing stores. So we're just trying to understand why is this happening, and over the last 2 to 3 to 4 years, what has really changed that the industry is having to rethink itself and re-evolve. And then, interestingly, and paradoxically, there is this Amazon effect. We heard from Sean during the keynote speech today that there's this huge amount of revolution that Amazon is kind of bringing to the table. And why is this happening? So somebody who doesn't kind of know the real insights may think, well, everybody's moving to e-commerce and mobile, and maybe it's just because Amazon was there to begin with. You know, that's why the stores are closing. Everything is going to be e-commerce in the future, and that's how it's going to be. Well, the answer is no, because you've got Amazon, Birchbox, Bonobos, Warby Parker, a number of e-commerce retailers that are actually opening stores as experience centers. So there is a reverse trend also playing. So what's the real reason? Well, according to me, it's the innovation gap. So to substantiate that with some data, if you look at the US Patent Office information, patents filed in the last 20 years, you'll find that Amazon has filed upwards of 5,000 patents. The next in the line is Target with just 1,000. The third in that list is Walmart with just about 350. So there's a huge gap in terms of the investment towards R&D, doing the pilots, and actually kind of pushing those new ideas forward, launching them, and trying them in new markets. So that's certainly a gap. We're going to talk about a couple specific examples, redefining the traditional brick and mortar through Amazon Go, which is the seamless checkout pilot, as well as redefining traditional e-commerce with respect to Amazon Fresh. So we're going to talk about a couple examples there. But let's step back and then let's look at a global scenario and what's the key trend. So if you were to remember again, the one key trend from a takeaway perspective, that would be click and mortar. It's nothing but blurring the lines between the stores and e-commerce to provide a seamless shopper experience. So omnichannel capabilities are here to stay. Cross-pollination across different selling channels is happening. Traditional store channels are acquiring e-commerce retailers, example, Ahold acquiring Peapod.com, and then web-only, like I just said, you've got Amazon, Warby Parker, Bonobos, Birchbox, several examples of e-commerce retailers opening stores. E-commerce and mobile are really the prime revenue drivers. So e-commerce is growing 4 times as quickly as the overall retail industry. So that's a key statistic. And also just the traditional store segments are kind of jumping the fence over from regular stores to e-commerce. One example is everybody thought, well, electronics, I shop online. Grocery, well, who shops grocery online, right? But then that's what's changing. Traditionally, what you had, the store segments like grocery are becoming online in a big way, and that's going to stay. Physical stores are going to become experience centers. We talk about showrooming in the negative sense in that an example where a customer walks in, tries everything out, tries the shoe out, and then ends up ordering the shoe online. But then if you provide your stores with the knowledgeable store associates and really showcase the breadth of your assortment and lure the customer, there's a high chance they're going to, even if they shop online, they're going to choose your e-commerce platform over competition. So examples like Staples, Kohl's, Nordstrom are using a lot of kiosks, in-store interactive kiosks, order in-store functionality, and so forth. And then certain channels, so it's not just about a Macy's or a retailer trying to cater to you as an end customer, but it's also about can I cater to a B2B segment. So for example, JCPenney is focusing on hotels and hospitality industry and supplying linens for that. So they're finding different ways to kind of stay competitive. And then Amazon again has an advantage over others, where Amazon Business, according to a survey, 50% of the B2B shopper is aware and familiar with Amazon Business. And then finally, supply chain fulfillment is under tremendous pressure. And I'm not paid by Amazon to make this presentation, but guess what? One more Amazon example where we got Amazon Prime, which is setting up an expectation that in 2 days the product is going to be in my house, and that expectation is driving and putting a lot of pressure on the supply chain across multiple retailers. So with those trends and with that background, let's look at some of the fundamental enablers of omnichannel. It's a word that is kind of a little loosely used now, and it's kind of diluted in its meaning and context. So it's important to really understand what everybody keeps talking about omnichannel. What is omnichannel, and what does it truly mean? So the mantra of omnichannel is that shoppers can buy through any selling channel. The retailer is able to fulfill from any fulfillment location, and then if needed, the shopper should be able to return or exchange their products through any channel, and ensuring seamless customer experience, the same experience had they chosen the original channel. Now, if we were to kind of peel the onion from a retailer's perspective, you would look at the top layer is the touch point with the customer, the digital transformation, which is the top layer. And then we have the underlying systems, as long as I can get the slide back up and running. So in any event, I'm just going to kind of just give you a context. What you're going to see is a picture pop up on the slide where you've got the top layer, which is the digital experience, the touch points with the customer. The middle layer is really the underlying system. So you've got the ERP, you've got the order management, you've got the e-commerce, essentially the master data integrating into the order picture and really providing that underlying platform for a retailer to be able to go omnichannel. And then thirdly, the bottom layer is essentially your fulfillment network. So what's going to be the network strategy? Where am I going to have my distribution centers? Where am I going to fulfill the product from? Am I going to divide it by product? Am I going to divide the locations by channel? And once I've figured it out, what's going to be my logistics strategy? And how can I optimize some of the details there? So what we're going to try and do as soon as the slides are back is we're going to look at each layer of this peeling the onion. Let's focus on some examples of digital transformation. Let's look at what's happening in the systems world. And then finally, let's look at kind of what's happening from an expectation with respect to the fulfillment, as well as network strategy and network optimization. So to best use the time, I'm just going to go ahead and talk about the first piece here, digital transformation. So the traditional channels are pretty much the stores and the contact center, right? If you think 10 years back, it was a store, and then you could make a phone call and get the information. Now the newer digital channels are web to begin with. It's not new anymore. And then you've got mobile, tablet, and so forth. And now we're talking about augmented reality and virtual reality. IKEA, as an example, has been using augmented reality for a long time now in their stores so that everyone can visualize how the furniture is going to look like inside their house, as well as Lowe's recently partnered with Google Tango to launch that augmented reality solution so that the customers are able to really visualize in a 3D environment inside their house as to what's going to happen within their how the product is going to show within their layout of their house. So social media is driving this in a big way. The usual suspects, Facebook and YouTube, are kind of starting to drive commerce now. So you are able to buy and sell things through some of these social media. And then Snapchat, Pinterest, Instagram, and so forth, Twitter. It really, what's happening is there is a end-to-end visibility to the larger shopper community. And there's traditionally retailers have been focused on, well, pre-sale, what do I need to do to make the sale? And once the sale is happening, how do I make the seamless checkout? But there wasn't enough focus on post-sale. So there is a renewed focus on post-sale because of the fact that now you have a number of social media commerce options. And also the pinnacle of seamless experience, from a store's perspective, so that was e-commerce. From a store's perspective, Amazon Go is essentially you are able to check out, you walk in, kind of check in through your mobile device, pick the items on your cart, and then check out seamlessly. You don't have to stand in a line, do not need to carry your credit card with you. So those are some of the big advantages of having that personalization. And then use of real estate. And one of the key trends that's emerging from a store's perspective is the pop-up stores. One example that I had on the slide was a Nike pop-up store in city center of Prague just before a marathon. So essentially, the use of real estate as and when we need it before certain events. It could be a Father's Day or Mother's Day or a Christmas event, for example. And the use of pop-up stores is critical with that. All right, we are back. So this is kind of what I talked about as the overall state, and then we are kind of peeling the onion, looking at the digital transformation. We talked about the social media, the importance of the post-sale, and then the examples of seamless experience and opportunistic use of real estate with respect to pop-up stores. Let's look at the enabling systems. So what's happening with respect to the enabling systems is this orchestration of demand and supply. This customers placing orders, and then there's inventory in the network, and it has to be fulfilled in the most optimized way. And the reason why you see the circle on the left on the master data is that's one of the foundational capabilities that we observed in Latin America and possibly in South Africa is one of the key elements as to how clean is your item master, what visibility do you have to the customer, and what visibility do you have to the inventory. So some of the foundational components are key. From a other systems perspective, we've got the commerce platforms, which is the usual suspects where the customer shops. It's about the product catalog, it's about the checkout, and then you've got the order management systems, which provide a seamless visibility of order across channels. So think of it as a funnel of orders coming in from stores, from e-commerce, from call centers, and everything kind of orchestrated and routed in the most optimized way to be able to fulfill from either distribution center A or B, or also to fulfill from stores being used as mini warehouses for fulfillment. Then you've got the warehouse management systems, and the definition of warehouse management is widening by the day. You've got the inbound, the yard management, the management of the distribution center, and the outbound and the transportation management. And then the ERP systems, which kind of form the backbone of the master data. So this is a quick snapshot view of the companies that are playing in this space and some of the underlying things that really enable a retailer to truly become omnichannel. One of the key trends here is there is a progressive movement towards cloud. There is an understanding. Traditionally, we used to have e-commerce. Well, yes, the retailer said, let's go cloud. But now there is a trend that warehouse management system and ERP system are moving from an on-premise to a cloud implementation for a couple of reasons. The total cost of ownership is less with a cloud implementation, and then you are able to scale during the peak season. So, and then you also have a clear upgrade path. So some of those reasons really are making the retailers move towards the cloud solution. And then the third layer of the onion is essentially the distribution network strategy. So first is logistics strategy through network modeling. What you see is a map of the US and a traditional distribution center on the East Coast. And well, where should I open my new distribution center so I'm able to cater to all my customers in the most cost-efficient way? Once you've decided where the distribution center should be, a more tactical level is how is my distribution center laid out? How do I do the conceptual distribution center design? Where do I lay out the MHE equipment, and how does that look like? And of course, the global sourcing and manufacturing. Am I sourcing from China versus Vietnam, and what's going to be the cost impact of it, and so forth. And also the fulfillment methods. So now and by fulfillment methods, what I mean is the growing expectation that I'm not just going to go into the store and buy it from the store. I'm not just going to go onto the internet and expect the product to be delivered to my home, but I expect buy online, pick up in store. I expect click and collect. I expect ship from store, and a variety, order in store, and a variety of other methods. So let's just quickly look at those. Traditional store purchase, a shopper buys from the store. Example, and some consideration in this area is Amazon Books, which is a store that lets you not just look at Amazon as a great idea, that they not just let you look at the best sellers in terms of book, but they do cross-selling, and they sell Amazon Echo and Kindle. So there's a lot of cross-selling happening using those stores as showrooms. Traditional e-commerce, the product comes from a distribution center, the customer buys online through a carrier, reaches the shopper's home, and reaches the shopper. Now, of course, the last mile delivery, like Sean talked about earlier today, the drone delivery is one of the trends that, taking that last mile bottleneck out and making it more seamless. Amazon Fresh is an example where it's kind of breaking the barriers of traditional e-commerce, going into a segment that it wasn't there before. Click and collect, also known as ship to store, is essentially a fulfillment method where you buy online and the distribution center ships the product to either the store or a third-party locker. And as a shopper, you get an email when you buy, of course, and then you get another notification saying your product is ready in the store or in the locker, and why don't you come get it? And this is a very popular, very popular option in South America. Something to do with demographics also, where a lot of workplaces are located near malls. Everybody's so busy, they just want to kind of finish up their work and pick up the product on their way quickly at the store that's close to their work location, as well as third-party lockers. So it's just convenient. You don't have to go through the entire store. You can just go to that particular area. One of the considerations that comes about with this is the sales credit, and trying to, there's this discussion that is it the e-commerce that gets the credit for the sale that was just made, or is it the fulfilling store? And if the store A doesn't have it, and through global inventory visibility, the store B actually ends up fulfilling an order that's captured in store A, who gets the credit for that sale? So there are different models depending on the operating model of the retailer that we work with the retailer with to basically correctly incentivize the stores as well as e-commerce channels for it to be a win-win situation for everybody. Then you've got the buy online, pick up in store. You just go there after buying online and pick it up in store. What's the difference between the previous one and this? Is that this is taking directly out of your store inventory. So you've got something in the back room, you've got something on the shelf, and if the order is for that same SKU, you would pick it up. The sensitivity around here is the customer experience impact. So what happens if I'm in the store and you place an order online and the store associate kind of just grabs right before my eyes, right? That's bad, disgruntled customer in the store. So there are different ways to counter that through watermark or safety stock strategy. So you want to keep a certain safety stock, and if it comes down to that safety stock, you say, well, I don't have it in the store. So if a customer goes online, they see that the product is out of stock in the store. In reality, the last two products are left, but those are respecting the in-store shopper. And then ship from store. Now this is of course, buying online, the store actually shipping through a carrier to the customer's home. What's happening here is that the store is being used as a mini distribution center, and that's extremely important in a lot of scenarios to save on transportation cost and fulfillment cost. The key considerations that a lot of times retailers grapple with is split shipment. So if I buy two things on my order, one is available in this store, but the other one is not, do I get two shipments, one from this and one from the other store? And that means more cost for the retailer, bad experience for the customer, because you're getting one product, you place the order at the same time, but you're getting one product today, another product tomorrow. So there is always that trade-off. And also slow-moving inventory is an interesting consideration where think about this shirt being at the regular price in store A and at a discount in store B. For whatever reason, the shop, it's not been selling well. So when you're fulfilling from the store, you do that cost-benefit analysis and see, well, I want to get rid of this inventory that's not selling from that location. I'll ship it from that location. So those are some of the considerations with respect to the fulfillment channels and modes and the expectations of the shopper. Let's look at the Latin American market landscape. So switching gears a little bit here and looking at the shopper and some of the demographics and macroeconomics that's shaping some of the customer behavior. So the commonality, as you would see, top few countries drive majority of the economy. If you look at Latin America, the top 6 there drive in excess of 80% of the economy. These are arranged by GDP. And also in Africa, if you look at arranged by GDP again, the top 6 drive about 2/3 of the economy. So there is a centered population base, which makes it easier to target the shopper. Some of the other macroeconomic factors, Latin American countries have been under recession for the last 2 to 5 years. There is political instability, unfavorable taxation, and some of these reduction in natural minerals and the demand for it with the innovation with alloys and so forth. So the going is not easy. I mean, that's the harsh and hard reality. Young population, so that's a unique trend for emerging economies. You've got a lot of under 40s population, which is about, if you compare with Japan or Europe or the US, the under 40s is about 5 to 7% more as a proportion of the overall population. So you've got a young population driving some of that social media and some of that innovation. And then the rising real estate costs. So that's linked to population clusters in certain areas, and that's really driving a trend for the retailers that we kind of touched upon with respect to the pop-up stores. So quickly breeze through some of these country-specific considerations in Latin America. You've got Brazil with the economic turmoil. There's a 300-mile strip between Sao Paulo and Rio de Janeiro, and it houses 90% of Brazil's population. And Brazil's population is 1/3 of Latin America's population. So you can imagine what a huge congregation of population in areas like that, or Santiago or Buenos Aires. Argentina, extremely high inflation of the order of 28%. Government is trying to come in and promote some of the spending with respect to interest-free programs. You've got Mexico, there are adverse taxation policies. Now there's extra tax on pet food, on high-calorie food. The subsidies are gone. So there's a big change happening in Mexico also. And in Chile, copper used to be the #1 driver of their GDP. The demand has gone down, and a lot of buying is happening based on credit. So these are some of the country-specific considerations in Latin America. And like I said, you can clearly draw parallels to South Africa and some of the African countries. So I'm not really going to go through this, but you can see that the reality is a slow GDP, high inflation, high unemployment, dependence on infrastructure and the bottlenecks there, population congregation in the top 4 cities, and also fragmented marketplace. The Spaza retail, the micro stores, micro convenience stores are really still of the order of 40 to 50%. So there are a number of parallels there, and that's why some of the strategies from a retailer's perspective are applicable in South African geography as well. A quick survey on the insights and what did we find with respect to the millennials, the younger, older millennials, and the Generation Z, which is pretty much the next generation which is going to drive the future of retail in the years to come. The young South African shopper, this is a result from an Accenture customer survey, about 750 respondents for 3 age categories, 28 to 37, 21 to 27, and 18 to 20, distributed equally across a number of retail segments. There is a heavy usage of social media. Facebook and YouTube are the usual suspects with respect to all age groups, but when you look at Pinterest, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, the green, the youngest population base is really kind of tapping into that. So that's going to be a growing media as we go forward. Preferred channel of purchase, it kind of confirms our belief that stores are here to stay. As you can see, the stores are still the majority of the purchase, but you also see the trend. You see a declining trend with respect to the age group, and you see an increasing trend with respect to online shopping, mobile, and tablet shopping. So the trends are different, but the stores are here to stay. And in terms of inspirational experiences, again, stores and social media are the biggest ones that are kind of competing to catch the attention of the shopper, to bring about that disruption. Pricing and promotions tend to be the top reason why am I going to shop from a Woolworths versus a different retailer. I just got a great deal for the same comparable item. So that tends to be a reason why the promotions and the pricing needs to be extremely robust and clear across multiple channels. And then finally, the pressure on the logistics and the distribution and the delivery. Expectation, if I'm an older millennial, I'll say, it's fine if I get the product next day, or I'm okay to wait for the free delivery. But as I look at the younger demographic, they want it the same day, and there's a lot of expectations. So as a retailer, how do you crack the code, and how do you embark on this omnichannel journey that you understand that this is the customer behavior? So let's get into that, a real-life case study for a South American retailer who was facing challenges. We're going to talk about the challenges first, and then what did we do to help them succeed. So the retailer under consideration is Paris. It belongs to an umbrella of Cencosud, which is a largest Chilean retailer and third largest Latin American retailer, 1,000+ stores, 19 billion in revenue, so absolutely big presence. Again, this is the departmental store, but Cencosud has a hypermarket chain, they have a home improvement, and they also have presence in grocery. So it's extremely wide, and then the client or the retailer that we worked with is Paris, the one on the far left, the departmental store. So as is usual, a lot of retailers kind of come with a problem when they actually see the numbers, and the numbers don't lie. So the sales going down and the same store sales growth going down, and that's not the case with the big brother or the number one player in the space, Falabella, as well as the younger brother, Ripley. But with Paris, the problem was that the in-store, basically shoppers were migrating to competition. So we kind of embarked on that omnichannel journey with the retailer, and let's look at the shopper consumption patterns and try to understand the problem better before we jump into a solution. So we said, of the Chilean customers, 7 of the 10 customers make at least 2 purchases online per month at an average spend of $158. So that's the size of the pie that we are looking at. And a lot of shoppers expect click and collect because of the unique demographics of the stores being located in malls and some of the offices being located in the malls. And also 58%, so upward of 50% of Chileans own a smartphone, and that's a huge increase, 18%. So it used to be 40% in 2015, 2016, it was up 58%. So you can only imagine it's going to become 80% pretty quickly in the next 2 years here, right? And that kind of tends to become that tipping point where you say, well, if it's the majority of my population base is avid user of smartphone and social media, it's the right time for me to build some of those omni-channel capabilities. Brand perception was another challenge, excuse me. And I know this is a busy slide, but essentially look at the green as the competition on a scale of 1 to 100, and the blue as the retailer that we were investigating. And everybody feels the competition is better. They have better prices, better brands. The associates are more cheerful, optimistic, and they give very good deals. So there was a big challenge. I mean, if you have to overcome a brand perception challenge, then you really have to reinvent some of that. Now, Net Promoter Score was just 25%. That's abysmally low. A Net Promoter Score is essentially, if you're asked, how likely are you to recommend this retailer and this shopping experience to a friend? Only 25% of the shoppers said that they were likely to do that. On the website, there were only 40% of the overall assortment was available online. A lot of products were not available online, so that was causing a lot of disgruntled shoppers. So major set of challenges to be overcome in order to attain omnichannel status. So you can imagine how the leadership team, the vice president of omnichannel retailer, the stores are feeling. They're kind of freaking out, and at the same time, competition is giving them chills. So they've got competition that has full e-commerce visibility. Somebody has a mobile app, and somebody has a marketing program. Somebody is doing click and collect, right? So then it all becomes like, how do I start on my omnichannel journey? Should I just jump on that shiny object that I see, or should I have an underlying strategy? And that's what we did after understanding everything and the pressure from the competition. We said that your omnichannel strategy really should be in 2 parts. One, enhancing your e-commerce functions, which are very primitive as of this point. So what do we mean by that? So what we mean is product management. So increasing product assortment online. It can't be 40% of your product is online, the rest of the 60% is in the store. You got to have upwards of 90% of the product available online through multiple ways of fulfilling it. E-commerce operations. So a lot of checks and balances. If I bought a $1,500 iPad and then there was a lot of manual checks, does the shopper have the right history? Was the transaction correct? Was the payment method correct? So you got to automate all of that. You can't have manual checks and balances when it comes to peak season, for example. Centralized order management, so you just can't have one store not knowing how much is the inventory in another store. If I'm out of stock, I'm the store manager, I gotta be able to know that the store that's closest has or does not have that inventory, so I can guide the customer correctly. And then also website platform upgrades, so we're able to show rich content, videos, being able to show 3D, zoom and pinch features. So you've got to have some of that website features. So these are some of the fundamentals that form the e-commerce enhancement enablers. And then second was omnichannel fulfillment capabilities. So we looked at variety of options and we said, well, there are multiple options in the marketplace, but you've got to go in the right sequence here. Click and collect is a huge expectation. Your competition has moved towards it. It's a low-hanging fruit. So go with the click and collect as the first capability. There is less sensitivity because there is more lead time. The product is coming from distribution center to store. If there is a problem, there is a chance for the retailer to sort it out and not have a disgruntled customer. And then move to the buy online, pick up in store. That's more sensitive. You expect the customer to pick the product up from the store inventory in 2 hours. If something goes wrong and the customer experience goes down, that's going to be a bigger challenge to overcome. And then ship from store was unique for Chilean geography because it's a long country, 2,300 miles long, 160 miles wide at the widest. So you've got to be able to leverage your stores as mini distribution centers. And that's some of the recommendations that this retailer has embarked on. And as we continue to guide, they are starting to see some of the benefits. End of 2017 is when we really understand, what were the true end-to-end numbers with respect to the improvements. But there are some immediate improvements that we saw last peak season with respect to these suggestions. So with that, moving over to the last section here, the key takeaway and what's going to be the success enablers in emerging economies. So the point of view is that the pace of change is rising exponentially, the technology is upgrading exponentially, and the forces are really shaping the future of retail. The global digital influences, so you've got shoppers that are interconnected through social media, and they are centered in certain areas with respect to geography. So those are some of the trends that are only going to accentuate as we move on. And the retailers have to be able to deliver highly localized products. Seamless experience, so the interaction is increasing, the showrooming with the positive spin, expertise of the store associates are some of the things that are going to really make or break the retailer of the future. Personalization 2.0, and what I mean by that is gone are the days when you do personalization just based on historical sales and you say, well, this is what you bought, so this is what you're going to buy. That's not true. It could be what I bought was a one-time. It could be what I bought was a gift for somebody else. So as a retailer, am I really able to track the footprints when you're looking on Google or Bing? Am I able to track the redirect onto my website? And then when you walk into the store, are you able to connect the dots together and say, well, this was the same shopper who wrote a nasty review on Facebook, is walking in the store, and is looking for this product. Can I give them a personalized promotion in the store, push that in through email or text, and be able to get that? So personalization to the next level is really the key. And then analytics and big data. We talked about the systems and the underlying platform. And big data is coming up in a big way to be able to do the predictive analytics. A lot of it, an example of Target, where the Target was able to predict the shopper was pregnant before they knew it or their parents knew it, was one of the controversial examples, but really goes to show how much the firms are invested in terms of big data and connecting the dots. Then we talked about re-energizing the store. I'm a big believer that the stores is going to continue to exist. Stores are not going away. Yes, it might be a question of rationalizing in terms of the number of stores or rationalizing the footprint from hypermarkets to convenience stores. But if you look at the shopper experience attributes of service, value, product, environment, and people, from a store's perspective, service personalization is going to be huge. How am I able to understand you better the moment you walk into the store based on my knowledge of you through your scanning of your profile, through your phone or your loyalty card, promotions and savings. So a lot of it is kind of driven on every survey after survey, it's about, am I getting the best deal? And if not, are you able to match that deal for me to kind of walk out of the store with the best quality product at the best price? Assortment availability is key. So being able to see the product in the store, if not, being able to go into an interactive kiosk and being able to see the product in the enterprise, in the network inventory, and being able to buy from another location. So assortment availability is a key trend in the store. The prices being clearly marked is more important than, for example, checkout. I mean, it's okay to wait for an additional minute to check out, as long as I'm very clear about what I'm buying, how much am I buying it for. And then associate expertise, and that's where Apple and some of the other retailers are really differentiating themselves with respect to others. I mean, there's just knowledge of the product inside and out, and being able to talk about some of the features as opposed to a very indifferent attitude that if you go to aisle 7, you'd probably find the product somewhere, right? So view of the future, 2019 and beyond, emerging economies would continue to be attractive. There's going to be this post-recessionary outlook where there's going to be this emergence of middle class that's going to fuel the economy, and the young population base is really going to push the retail sector forward and really be the cause of the re-emergence of retail sector. And South Africa, like Latin American emerging economies, will skip a few steps with respect to the adoption curve. So it's going to be different from what we see in the United States, for example, because of the adoption of mobile phones being so high. So there's this going to be a quick m-commerce, e-commerce combination leap in addition to the traditional channels that exist today. And then growth of extremely localized markets. So if the retailers were to kind of, Walmart, Massmart, Coalition is an example of Walmart trying to kind of make inroads into the geography, but a lot of localized models with respect to product sourcing strategy as well as marketing strategy to be able to be very applicable to the local shopper and their needs and wants. Proliferation of discount stores is going to be a trend with the higher real estate costs, as well as a cautious spending in the next couple of years. There's going to be a proliferation of discount stores going forward, and a lot of stores having geography-tailored strategies. And then the store spectrum is just going to broaden. You will have the hypermarkets, but you will have the micro convenience stores. So the true resurgence of emerging economies is, we're predicting about 24 months is when the time would be ripe for retailers to go live, big bang, with the omnichannel capabilities. And that's a good thing, because that means we've got some runway with respect to now and end of that period to pilot and test some of the innovations that retailers like Amazon are driving, to be able to test it out in pilot markets to see what's working, what's not working, and get that first mover advantage. So that pretty much concludes what I wanted to talk about with respect to the omnichannel retail and how we see the market emerging. Happy to entertain any questions that you may have. So there are different models that come into picture. A lot of times we would apportion it according to a 60-40 or a 50-50 split across e-commerce and the store. The use case becomes different when you're talking about a purchase that's made online fulfillment that was supposed to be from one store for whatever reason redirected to another store. So then the proportions change. But how typically it's done is arriving at percentages that kind of make sense according to the business model, having the C table with respect to the store operations, e-commerce, and omnichannel on the table, and taking it from there. Anything else? That's a great question. The question is, this kind of a project would obviously require a lot of cross-functional collaboration. How did the company do it? The traditional way of organizing is you've got a vice president or a C-level executive who's representing store operations, merchandising, marketing. We've got e-commerce that got added, and now with omnichannel initiatives, a lot of what we are doing for our retailers, suggesting to them, and a lot of them are moving in that direction, is to have an omni-channel organization. A couple of examples where we've done that is Abercrombie & Fitch, that has a omni-channel leader, a vice president of omni-channel. That's different from stores and e-commerce, has a different set of priorities, and they need to work cross-functionally. And also Lowe's, who has done a major restructuring recently, and they've kind of become this omni-channel retailer of the future. So it really needs to be a dedicated organization, omni-channel, that is leveraging some of stores as well as e-commerce, but is also understanding it's extremely collaborative. It's not one channel trying to trump the other. It's really about how can we create win-win scenarios through crediting the sales correctly, through incentivizing our store associates, as well as making the journey easy for the customer. So the short answer to that is a dedicated omni-channel department that is collaborating closely with the stores and e-commerce. Well, if there are no other questions, I really enjoyed sharing some of my thoughts. Some of my business cards are over back in the corner if you're interested, as well as feel free to provide some feedback on how you felt the session went and what can be improved, and would look forward to chatting with you in the next couple of days.